I have the other ones available in there.
Wait.
But
What? So, Luke, what are you drinking today? Coca-Cola.
Morning on the way to the gym and set my ukulele on top of the car and then drove off down the road.
I made a bow after that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Hojo! I learned my lesson from last time. What a welcome, thank you. I drink the most fruity drinks imaginable.
It's laundry day.
it's laundry day.
So you always wear hats with laundry day?
I'm going to do you a favor, James. I just say, later.
So how did you two meet?
Well, there's these places in San Francisco. I think they're called bathhouses.
It's like one of those things where everyone wants to focus on like the big events that happen, but day to day, what we're doing is we're on like Boulevard Draw Street smoking weed, making comics. It's chill. It's so much fun, and like
Yes. Man, I'm not a YouTuber. I do this because I want to sell comic books. Yes, guys, it is Sunday. It is Sunday. This means another episode of A Drink with Brink, where I talk with other indie creators about their hopes and their dreams and their lives, but also their campaigns and their books. Because frankly, I am a bit bored with the mainstream. The mainstream kind of sucks, and indie is where the passion is, guys. So yes, I hope you're all having a fantastic Sunday. It's a wonderful Sunday here, so the weather is nice. It's Mother's Day, just having a relaxed time. I've been busy. There's always work, you know. For Jamie Comics, there's always stuff to do. We are making preparations for Perfect 10 Book 5 plus POWERTRIP Book 2, and we will release those simultaneously. So there will be one new campaign for two new books. So this is to save you a lot of hassle, to save me a lot of hassle, to give you the opportunity to jump on board with two titles. And the sign up page to that is live. So please sign up. We have a little early bird like thingy going on. And you can, so sign up so you get notified when we launch. The link to that is in the description of this video, as well as the link to the current campaign, which is active for the Perfect 10 Artist Edition, 130 pages, hardcover. Like you have script material, you have layouts from POW, you get the black and white art, you get the colored work, you get some extra pinups. It's fantastic. It's a special book, and it's published through the Critical Blast. So this saves me a lot of trouble, right? It's so you place the order, Critical Blast takes care of everything. Whew. All right, guys. Let's see who's in the chat with us today. To start with, we have Elon Mudd. Elon Mudd, welcome. Nice to see you. He says we need to get tanked and do stream, Vaughn. This is for the guest for today. Vaughn is the guest. Yeah, so get tanked, Vaughn. You heard it. Dr. Ino, welcome, Doctor. How are you today? We don't have a show without Dr. Ino. So, hey, guys, have a great stream popping in for a bit, but know that I'm always here for the waifus. Yes, we don't know if we have waifus today, but we will ask. We will see. We will find out. And then we have Aaron Culimary. Aaron Culimary, welcome, sir. Hey, fellas, I hope everyone is doing well. Well, I certainly am. I'm very fortunate that I can do this show and I have wonderful guests on. So I do this weekly. It's the only show that I really, really enjoy doing. Sometimes I go on other people's shows and not really a good guest, I think. But I'm trying to be a better host. Anyway, sorry guys, I got distracted because it's time for the guest. It's time for the guest. So let's see if I have everything set up. I think that I do. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I have a very warm welcome for the guest, Mr. Vaughn Coleman.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Dave. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I gotta say, it's really cool because the first time I interviewed you on my channel, I hadn't read your stuff, and now I'm a fan. Perfect 10 is one of my favorite ongoings, so I always get excited when I see a new issue is crowdfunding. It's great.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, man. Yeah. So you usually could do hosts. You're like this natural host, I feel, right?
No, thank you.
Do you think so also?
I think so. It depends. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I really have to get to it because it's like I have to. It's been a weird thing because I'm like, no, I'm the one being hosted for a while, and I do kind of have to transition back to being a host again.
All right. Yeah.
I've been just making the rounds, getting on as many shows as I can. In fact, while we were waiting, I was like, oh yeah, I need to get back to it because I kind of like for a few days I was like, I'm doing well on my campaign, kind of like backers are rolling in. I'm like, no, I gotta remind people I'm alive. Hey, I still got a campaign going. And then sometimes you'd be like, for a few days I hadn't really posted much about my campaign, and then yesterday I just go, guys, we got 8 days left, and then I get a backer because people need a constant reminder. That's one of the things I'm someone who needs a constant reminder, which means more work for others, but it's part of the job, right? Yeah,
this is true. When you make comics, you're busy with comics.
Yeah,
all the time, right? So it's not new to you, but there are always people out there who never heard of your comic before.
Oh yeah,
so
most people.
You have to keep most people, yeah. So you have to keep promoting,
and even then, just because they've heard of me doesn't mean they're buying anything I'm doing or that they're interested in me. I've heard of a lot of comics that I haven't bought, even ones that I'm interested in. So it's always. You realize, everyone thinks you're special until you step out and realize that there's a lot of people who also think they're special, and they might all be special, and so it's really trying to stay on top. And that's what I remember seeing your book, not knowing who you are. You had an IP that just grabbed me. It was a perfect. Okay, that was not intentional. Perfect 10 was just a great title, and it's a great book.
Yeah, sometimes you do get a little bit self-conscious when you do this. It's like you see campaigns that are phenomenal and they don't really do that well, and then you have other campaigns where I'm like, it's not really my thing, but they're bringing the backers, right? So a large part of it is marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel that you're handling the marketing part of?
Apparently, I did something right. To be fair, one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to have a big launch. And so that meant I promoted the hell out of it. I had almost 600 signups by the time I started. Now, what's the problem with that? The problem with that is I'd have people I had someone message me, hey, when am I getting my comic? I'm like, you didn't back it. And I'm like, well, I signed up for the email list. I'm like, okay, so you got emails about backing it. Like that people, one of the things, or even the other day on a Facebook post, I posted, oh, look at that. We just hit this many pages done. And they're like, oh, I didn't get my book. I'm like, yeah, because it's like I was at the bar with a friend. It's amazing. I can do a step-by-step tutorial. You can explain in perfect detail on the campaign. Right. And it is, I will say, it is nice the fact that people are so eager that they don't even read it. They're just like, yes, I want it, money. Like, that's nice. Yeah. But it is also one of the things you'll learn. And I kind of knew this. Explaining it to people is a tough part. So I made like 3,000 my launch night with Rini, which is great. And then comes the day where my mom's like, all right, Vaughn, I have all these people that want it. They don't know how it works. And I'm like, okay. So I spent because I was going to stream all day on Saturday, but I did have a sneaking feeling that it was going to be that. And yeah, most of the day was basically me doing customer service.
Right. Yes. So. That goes with the territory, man.
Yeah.
a lot of meals. Yeah.
What you realize is, so like yesterday, I actually decided to give myself a day off, which was a struggle. But I decided to do it. Oh wait, that reminds me. I have to do something.
I recognize that also. You have all, there's always stuff to do, right? But sometimes you have to force yourself to just do nothing.
Dude,
right?
I was just making a trading card with just a bunch of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll post it, and it's already. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get all this done, so I need to step back and see what I can do. But yeah, I mean, it's been crazy good. It's been really good day.
Good.
Yeah. So and but I think you can always do better. Yeah. Right. Successful steps. It's so interesting being from someone who. And I guess once I start, you always are self-conscious, right? And it's not until people are asking you for advice and then you start talking like someone who's done it and you go, see, I did. Why can't I talk to myself the way I talk about myself when I'm giving other people advice?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, I'm terrible. I'm not doing this. And then I get in an interview where someone's like, Vaughn, how did you do it? And I'm like, well, I'm like, then I get off the call and I'm like, see, talk to myself that way. But so what did I do? So first of all, you always have to be selling your product. The reason why I opened to that many backers was because I had sold people the product before I sold them the product. And what I mean by that
you sold people the product before you sold them the product.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is I had told them this is what it's going to be, pitched it over and over and over again. People need to see something multiple times before they want it. Right.
What you mean you did that through your own YouTube channel or through other people's channels or real life or how did you do it?
All of the above. All of the above.
All right.
In real life, texting people, you want to go through I texted people that I hadn't seen in like 10 years and one of them backed. I texted an old teacher who backed. I texted people on the internet whose names. It's really interesting seeing a list. Like I know that person, no idea who that. Oh, that's someone from chat. That's a creator. Never seen that person in my life. It's so interesting seeing these names roll in. And sometimes you're trying to guess who's who in chat, and then you'll see, oh, this person said they backed this. Oh, it's really interesting. But I'd say you have to sell it before you sell it. If you're doing my book is fully funded.
Yeah, you have to build the hype, right?
Part of the reason why I wanted to do it this way was, and because initially the book was going to be done, was what I decided. Well, what I ultimately decided on, the book was going to be done, and it's mostly done. And I realized, well, I'm close to the end of production. I'll need let's say 2 months to campaign because I'm also going to do a Kickstarter. FundMyComic is going to close for about 5 days. And that's going to open again as in demand. So if you want to change your order now without having to go through your bank, this is the best time because they haven't charged you yet. So I had someone say, I want to add a cover. I'm like, you could do that right now because your bank has not issued a statement yet. So now is the best time. If you want to just add covers or change your order in any way, now is the best time. Also, I just before this added back. So there was a 24-hour free trading card. But a lot of people are like, hey, I missed the trading card, man. I'm like, you know what? For the last week, if you want to pay $5, you can get the trading card. So if you want it, go ahead and get it. And yeah.
Wait, so the trading card is $5?
Now so it was a day one exclusive.
All right.
So if anything, I'm doing people. So I'm like, all right, if you really want it, I'm not expecting anyone to pay for it. It's $5 for a trade. I probably wouldn't. But well, actually, you know what? For this one, I would. For this one, I would. But if you missed it and you really want it, it's $5. If you want the trading card, that was day one exclusive. So Yeah, but you have to sell the product before you sell the product. You have to build up the audience and enthusiasm. What really sold people, I think, is I'd start doing short videos are a huge thing.
Right.
Start really getting excited to talk about it. Talk about other things you're interested in too. So like people will say that I talk about, like, for example, I'm in a Chris Claremont's X-Men run, or I did an homage to a Final Fantasy VII cover. That I got someone who was like excited just because they saw me game streaming and they're like, oh, you like this too? And I think that people, because they showed enthusiasm for that, go, he likes this. He has similar taste. Oh, and he has a cover that's an homage to this game. Maybe I'll do that. Getting Rini to draw a cover is also a very good business decision.
Right.
It's not even colored yet, and it sells like crazy.
Yeah, I do like game streams sometimes, occasionally, but I'm afraid I don't want to do it too much because people might think that this is a gaming channel, right?
Yeah, that's my fear with
I
the
like
algorithm.
To keep it focused. One sec. Let me say hi to Gordon Goodbrother first. Welcome, sir. And we have a question, but before we go there, we need to slow down a little bit. I need to ask you the question. What you're drinking today?
You know, I didn't. I just grabbed water. I should have grabbed a drink. I saw the intro. Because it was earlier in the day for me, and I didn't want to start day drinking. But I will say that intro made me thirsty. Made me go, I want to get something. You know, it could have been drinking like an Arnold Palmer or a Long Island iced tea if I was feeling.
No, it's all good. But you have water right now.
Yeah, very mundane. I'll have to get something better next time.
That's fine. Jens, it's water today.
Yep, let's keep it clean. Just water.
Oh, Jens. Okay.
Good man.
So, wait, we had one question. Let's start with that before we forget. Dr. Ino asks, Mr. Coleman, what are the essential steps? Whoa, we're going deep today. To making a successful, profitable campaign. Wow.
Oh man. So one of the steps to making a campaign. So like I was saying, sorry, I was answering that prematurely. That's why I was talking. I apologize.
All right.
I'll slow down. So yeah, you want to sell the pre-sale, pre-launch. A lot of people don't do that. And it's a problem because there's I've heard this that a lot of people once they get it, like I would say set up honestly a sign-up page as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That way it's in their head as early as you can and then keep advertising it. I might have went overboard, but what I did, listen, you could say whatever you want. What I did worked. Get people hyped for it.
Yeah,
so that way when it launches, it's an event.
Signups?
Yeah.
300, right?
Yeah. It went from instead of it being a comic that no one heard of that just dropped and hey, you can get this if you want. It came from a comic that everyone knows is coming out from a creator everyone knows. Or not when I say everyone, okay, most people don't know who I am. My point is, you know, it went from if I had just dropped it would have been a comic that's asking for money that no one's heard of. Instead, it was they know me and they know my campaign because I kept telling them about it and wouldn't shut up about it.
Sure, but you have your audience, right? You've built your audience, and you have built this network. Do you think that also helped?
Oh my God,
other creators?
Networking is everything. So what you have to do is when you launch, make sure you're ready to get on as many shows as possible. In fact, I slowed down on shows, but I was doing multiple day, and then I kind of was like, let me just take a breath. But you want to do that. It's a job.
Right.
And you will and don't be afraid when you get on a show and you don't make a lot of money. So you'd be surprised. Sometimes you get on a little show and you'll make decent money that way. And sometimes like there are people names in the chat I don't recognize and there are some that I do. Right. Every new name is a new potential customer or fan. And you never know. There are people that will retweet you. There are people that will like your stuff a lot. You never know. Every new face, every new connection is a new possible. It's always worth it. Networking is one of the most important things you can do, and it's something that I had learned about when I was doing film. Networking is everything.
Right. So yeah, you have a very very impressive, interesting resume, right? So you've been in various creative fields. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I went to college for filmmaking. Um, so when I was a kid, I wanted to make movies. I was first got into superheroes through movies, and that's what I went to film school for. And I loved it. I love working in movies. I want to continue to. I focused on screenwriting, on directing, a little producing, but not as much. I was never good for cinematography. I was never great at the super technical stuff, but I learned enough of it. I think.
So you meant you focused, like you said, film writing and directing.
Yeah,
that were
acting too.
Like acting. So these were like segments within the study that you did, the school.
Yes. So it was weird. They had visual media arts as the name of the major, and it was really you could spend that time studying whatever aspects of films you wanted to focus on. It wasn't like there was a screenwriting major or anything like that. But I focused primarily on screenwriting and directing. I did do one acting class, and I acted a lot in a lot of student films. But I didn't major in it.
Okay. Right.
But I was casting a lot of my friends.
Okay, interesting. So wait, creators outlets here. Wait, creators outlet. Welcome.
Oh, what's going on? I'm going on his show.
When, later today or?
No. Well, let me check my calendar.
Hill Nerds, Freaks and Geeks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but do you still have like aspirations to do?
Oh yeah,
movies.
Yeah, I just decided to really focus on my comic for the time. If I was going to go in, I was going all in, and so I did.
So you have these creative bones. You want to do something like with something creative. You need a creative outlet, right? So first you thought like movies. That's maybe it still is, right? So how did you get on the track towards comic books?
Man, it was great. So when the way I got on the track towards comics was, so I liked comics. I had liked them for a while. When I was in 6th grade, it was like I had a few phases where I'd get really into superheroes, but I had never gotten into comics. I'd get close, but they wouldn't quite get me. And it was 6th grade. I was going to a new school, and then one day I come home from school, and they're playing a rerun of Batman the Animated Series on Leather Wings, the first episode. I watched it. I'm hooked. And it would be part of my routine. I'd come home from school, watch Batman the Animated Series, maybe do karate, maybe do some homework, whatever. I was not a great student, but that's a different story. And I grew crazy in love with the character of Batman. And they're going through the whole series. And by December, I've seen most of the series. There's some episodes I've missed to this day. But by that December, it's a Batman Christmas. So I had also, during that fall, was 2011, Batman Arkham City comes out. And I play that game and I'm in love with it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Then by that Christmas, I'm like itching for more Batman content. I've seen all the movies. I want to know where all this stuff that I love comes from. So what do? Well, that Christmas, I start looking into Batman comics. And I stumble upon Batman Hush is one of the ones that's most highly recommended. So I bought that, spoiled right out the gate. And from there, I've been a fan. You could tell this is really beat up. This is the first comic I ever read. And then I also got this thing called The Greatest Batman Stories Ever Told, which I read some of them. It was some like all different kinds of Batman stories. And then I'd start reading The Long Halloween, and comics like that. And then I would dive. I was more DC to start with. And I would dip in and out of comics. But then I remember, I mostly read trades and stuff like that, not really single issues. And the New 52 was out, and it was weird. Sometimes I'd read New 52 stuff, sometimes not. It was a weird time for comics because it was like some of it was really weird and experimental, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And then some of it I got into, but I never read a full run really. And then I was in college. And there was there was a number of factors. I don't know what, because I was at film school. It was a weird thing for me to be at film school to really get the comic bug, but it happened. And I start reading Chris Claremont's X-Men run. I don't know why I had an itch. I felt like I want to start reading X-Men specifically. And so I ask a family friend of mine, where do you start? He says, Giant Size X-Men #1. I start, I'm hooked.
Yeah. Right. So, but did X-Men also came to mind because of the animated series?
I didn't really grow up with the animated series. I grew up with the movies more. Although I watched Wolverine and the X-Men. I haven't seen all the animated series, but I think I've seen like the first 2.5 or 3 seasons now. But I didn't really grow up with the animated series. I watched some X-Men Evolution when I was little. Maybe I'd seen some episodes. I watched Wolverine and the X-Men. But that one I didn't really grow up with as much. But the movies I liked and then didn't, depending on the movie. The X-Men movies were always hit or miss. You know, when I was little, I liked X-Men 3, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's not good. You know, when I realized that, hey, maybe you shouldn't kill off the leader of the X-Men in the first 5 minutes off screen. Right. Off screen, Cyclops dies. Ridiculous. But it was Claremont's run where I was like, it was like the idea, then the next idea, then the next big idea, the next. And as a film student, I was always having to temper my expectations because of how much a production costs. And so I'd always have these big budget ideas, and reality kept setting in and shrinking it. And I like that in the realm of comics, it's just pay their page rate and you can get them out at a faster pace. So you could tell these big budget stories and at a faster pace. Right. And I really liked that because that was always, you know, I was always thinking in terms of that. And so I decided, let's go for it. Let's do it. And I was seeing, you know, indie comics were a thing. People were able to own their IPs. You don't really see that in film. And so I decided, let's do it. Let's do it. And
are you making something right now through the medium of comics that you rather had made as a movie?
No, because that's one of the things you can, and I'm sure you know this. There's tons of comics where you could tell this guy just wanted to make a movie.
Yeah,
I fell in love with the comic medium because I initially had written this as a screenplay for like an animated whatever. And then as I was transferring it to comics, and I realized the little differences, like the fact that in the screenplay, you write that person walks into a room and sits down, for example. In a comic, you have to pace it out. And actually, but you also realize you can do narration captions and all kinds of, and you realize that there's things you can do in film that you can't do in comics. And there are things you can do in comics that you can't do in film.
Right.
And so while I came up with it initially as a movie idea, now it feels the opposite, where it's like, do I even want it as a as a movie, maybe. I don't want to say no for a bit, but like, rather, if you're asking what I'd rather, like, I'm really happy with it. If it never gets made into a movie or an animated show and just becomes a hit comic, I can die a happy man. You know, I won't feel like I missed out on the main point, because the main point is to make a great comic right now. And if I make something else, I make something else. But at this point, Phenomenova, pure comics. And because of that, I really wanted to dig down to the core of, all right, well, what makes comics and superheroes specifically mean so much to me? Let's do the ultimate love letter to comics and superheroes. You know, I said, if I'm going full comic book, I'm going full comic book. I'm not doing a comic book that's just someone's attempt to try and get eyes on his movie pitch. That's not what I'm doing. I love comics, you know?
Right. So you're the writer of this series. This is your like creation, your concept. You're the writer, right? Did you take that away from your movie like lessons, like you learned screenwriting? Could you use that to write your comics with, your scripts?
And vice versa, I think, actually. Yes, I learned a lot, because a lot of the screenwriting is just the basic. Because storytelling is storytelling, no matter the medium. You know, when I was reading a screenwriting book, even then, I was like, a lot of this is just general writing. And a good story is a good story, no matter the medium. Now, there are differences. There's things you could do in a short story or a novel. You can't just go off on paragraphs talking about nothing. And I don't want to, not literally nothing, but you know what I mean. And if you read a novel, they can just go off in a train of thought and you go, yeah, this is brilliant. Try doing that in a screenplay, they'll slap you, right? Screenplay is much more structured, and a comic is a weird way where it's a mix of both. And comics are one of the differences that I actually like about comics that at first I didn't. comics don't have an exact format. Screenplays are very strict, very corporate, very strict. Comic
Really?
books, as long as your artist can understand and create something from what you wrote, that's good. Screenplays, yeah, they don't really want you, the screenwriter, even on set usually, because they just want them out of the. They sell the screenplay, get out of my face, let the director handle it.
Sure. Right.
Screenwriters are
Or like a blueprint, what you write.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's bring up your campaign. Let's bring up your wonderful campaign. Let's see what you have for us. It's on FundMyComic. Why did you choose FundMyComic?
There's a number of reasons. So one of the things was it was a lower percentage that they were taking, which is very nice. Another reason is I liked Luke Stone. I liked that I could talk to him directly. You look at Indiegogo, and they're shadow banning everyone. No one, even the biggest money earners, cannot get in contact with someone there. If they're not going to do that to them, why would they give me anything? I know I've backed a lot of Indiegogos. But FundMyComic, I know I can talk to the guy who runs it. A lot of the people that were going to back my campaign have never backed anywhere before. Where did I want to bring them? Well, might as well bring them to FundMyComic.
Right.
You know,
yes.
bring in new names, get more percentage of it. You have to budget, like they take a big percent on IGG. Same with Kickstarter. Now, Kickstarter and IGG, I am going to do a Kickstarter as well. If people, I don't, because Indiegogo was like, you're already bringing your own audience to find stuff. Like, for example, when Graham Nolan launched his new campaign, if you searched up Graham Nolan, you'd find campaigns that were already fulfilled before you'd even find his newest thing. I'm like, this is not helpful at all for creators.
Okay.
If I'm like on the front page of FundMyComic right now, that would never happen on Kickstarter. Now, to be fair, there's also more competition on those sites, but I figured I had enough people on my mailing list that were going to go where I went. Let's go where they get a lower percentage, where I know I'll get better treatment. You know, and then if I want to go to the others, I can. But Kickstarter, I know the algorithm would probably help me there. And also there's a bigger audience there. So I'm going to launch on Kickstarter as well. I know people that really prefer Kickstarter. So that one I do. I'm not like I'm not entirely opposed to Indiegogo, but you kind of have to twist my arm to get me to do. And even then, it would be brief. I just don't see the point when Kickstarter basically does everything they do. Now, I don't like the feature where you have to go in and add your information back again at the end. That I don't like. Comics, books, and games on Kickstarter and Indie, no. Yeah, it's not just comics, exactly. But it's so this one is comic focused, but again, that didn't really matter if there's other stuff. If people come across my campaign, listen, I'm happy with customers coming my way. But
FundMyComic is making a second platform for other like stuff.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Plus you said you're on the front page, but they also have this little system with FundMyComic that people can, like backers, can add a little bit extra, like a bonus, like an extra $1 or whatever, and this brings your campaign up to the front page.
No, I didn't know that.
Did you know that? Yeah, that's
what does it do?
So like the same feature you have with FundMyComic, you can basically tip the platform. Right, like Indiegogo does it also, but they do it forcefully. But FundMyComic, you can willingly do this, and it actually helps the creator also, because it brings your platform to the front.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's great. So that explains why mine, because I had some people like that were tipping, and I'm like, because I didn't. That goes to their FundMyComic, but it also puts me on the front page. Okay.
Yes. Right. Let's check your trailer.
Let's do it.
Let me know if you have sound.
When the whole world was dragged into World War III, brave men like my father fought on the front lines. and they weren't alone. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up to us to carry on their legacy. And every so often, the earth from which we come gives way for something new, something greater to be born. And with them, even greater threats to face. Bring it on!
Little gem shock.
Gem Shock?
Little bit of gem shock.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
No.
Phenomenova.
That's a nice logo.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it was a tough word. And my logo guy goes, I'll come up with something. And he did. I was like, wow.
Dad. For you.
He had to make a big word seem easily legible, and he did it.
Yes, it's a challenge, yeah.
And then people, I do love so many people are like, no one's going to buy your campaign. The logo's too long, whatever. Those people got real quiet.
Really?
Got real quiet.
Phenomenova. No, I think you can do a lot with names, but it has to be like catchy. It has to capture the like the curiosity, right?
Yeah, and I think it did. 'Cause people go, "What is it? What is it?"
By the way, you have 172 backers, which is fantastic for your first campaign.
Yeah.
First ever campaign, man. Look at this. It's crazy. 10K. That's crazy. Guys, in the chat, if you're watching, if you're back today, let us know, right? So we can have a little celebration. The link to this campaign is pinned in the chat. It's also in the description of this video. Please go check it out and share it. You have 1 week left. So that's fantastic. You're doing great.
Thank you. And that double page spread that I've been using now, because Bancroft was telling me, all right, so when I dropped that double page spread with the dragon and the fire,
this one,
I guess I haven't even described what my comic's about yet, but look, we're having fun. When I dropped that double page spread on Twitter, I went up so many signups. Bancroft used it in his thumbnail that night, and he was like, use this art for everything. And so I'm like, okay. So I do. I use it. It's my Twitter background. I should make it my YouTube background too.
It is a stellar piece, man.
And so because people like it so much, if I hit 15K, everyone gets that as a mini print.
Right. Okay. That's fantastic. So I see that Jesse Hagee, he's your colorist.
Yeah. Have you worked with him?
Yeah, I know him. Yeah. And Cruz, who's the artist?
His name is Philip Cruz. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking. He's great. These two are a dream team. They're so good. Never met each other, but Jesse, I mean, I was just getting messages from him earlier. He's great. Yeah. All right. Have you worked with Jesse or?
Yeah, I he did some pinups.
Oh,
so
awesome.
So not actual complete comic yet, but he did some work for us. Yeah. Artist is pretty good too. So where did you find them?
Facebook. I think, well, actually, some people recommended, a few mutuals, like at least a few different people recommended Jesse Hagee. And I was like, all right, I got to work with the. Yeah.
Looking nice. Right. So this entire concept, maybe we should talk about the concept first. So this is your creation. So what is Phenomenova?
So set 20 years after World War III, Phenomenova follows the idealistic son of a war hero who is struck by lightning while holding a mysterious crystal, and he finds himself awakening with lightning powers and lightning speed, and he decides he wants to use those powers to be like the brave heroes that fought in the war. And he steps out on his own when using a makeshift costume to become a superhero, but he finds himself in way over his head when he attempts to intervene with a supervillain at a nuclear reactor. So Phenomenova is going to be the name of the team he joins. It's the next generation of superheroes. Right. But in this issue, I really wanted to focus on our main character before throwing everything at you. And so I really decided to take my time, but not too much time. I mean, obviously, you know, there were some major edits to the script, but 64 pages I felt was good. I really wanted to give a solid origin story before we launch in, because I figured a lot of people rush past the origin And a lot of my favorite comics do. I decided I wanted to give it like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man treatment, where let's really have him discover his powers, because we're not going to get the origin of the main character again. Let's do that and then bring in the world and all of that. And what's the point of having a team or a story without a protagonist that we love? So I really wanted to focus on his journey to become a hero, and I decided to extend his origin story. I felt like by the time he earns his costume, his full-blown costume, that he really earns it, that it's rewarding. Thank you. Yeah, I hope you do, Dr. Rhino. And like I said, this trading card, it's only $5 if you want it, is only available for this next week, if you guys didn't back day one. So if you want that, get it this week. But yeah, we're getting close. I'm hoping we can hit at least 11K by the time within the week.
You can tell that that you're always in the selling mode, right?
Oh yeah, it's something I learned.
Yes. Creators Outlet says yes, you can tip FundMyComic while looking at a campaign, and it moves you forward. Yes.
Wow.
True. So do you think that maybe it could be a little bit confusing for people when you have the name of a team and it's actually about one character? Like, for instance, you have a book called X-Men and it's only Psylocke.
That did occur to me. Trust me. Pizza Medi gave me a whole thing on that too. Absolutely. But it was also my whole mentality, me writing this, is there's going to be an issue 2. There's going to be an issue 3, and so it may be confusing for now when there's only an issue 1. But I'm writing for the longevity. So by the time in the future, by the time we're earlier on, it won't be confusing, because it'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like if X-Men started off where it was, if I'm going into X-Men and you don't meet the X-Men issue 1, but you'll meet them in 2 or 3, then I'm not asking. It's all right. So in My Hero Academia, you don't go to the Hero Academia until episode 3 of the show, I believe. So that's kind of how I approached it. But I understand how it could be confusing to start with. So, but even still, it's just the title. And
what's the main character's name?
So his name is Miles Hanksley, aka Galvanite, is a superhero name.
Right. So is Galvanite the main character for the entire series, or will different issues focus on different members of this team?
Different issues will focus on different members. For now, I wanted to, but for the foreseeable, for a while, the main character will in fact be Galvanite for the first story arc. But there are issues where it won't be really about him much at all. In my current plan so I'm going to be doing 24 pagers, kind of like what you're doing. In my current plan, it's going to be issue 2 is going to be more focused on him, kind of him training. One of the veteran superheroes who fought during the war will train him. And then issue 3 is going to be not really about him at all. And you're introduced to Phenomenova, and then they'll come together and the villain. That's my current plan.
Okay. You have it all figured out. You have a timeline ready.
Yeah, but I'm rewriting issue 2 right now. And I'm like, oh my God, I got 1 page in, and I'm like, I'm a much better writer now. But I wrote the first 8 pages. 8 issues. A lot of it I think is solid, but I'm going to have to go back and check it out.
Oh wow, yeah. When you can notice that you level up
as
a writer, right? So does this maybe give you the urge to go back and rewrite the first book?
I've rewritten this one so many times.
Oh really? Yeah.
So this one I had rewritten it many times, but before I even started the artwork, and even then I'd do revisions. So I might go back and do some revisions on some later issues. Some issues from my head I'd have to revisit, but some issues I do remember. And I'm going to have to do some revisions on issue 3, for example. But issue 3, I know I'm very happy with. Issue 5, 2 was the one I was most iffy on.
Wait, so these scripts are done. You already written all these books.
Well, done. But obviously, as art comes in, things change.
Sure. Yeah.
But they are fully written. Yes, I could do some revising, but yeah.
Oh, great.
I've written before. Years ago when I was in college, I finished up to what was issue 11, and then I condensed the first 3 into 1 issue, and the last 2 into 1 issue. So 8 issues done. And then plans for more. So I plan on the faster this funds, the more this funds, the faster I could, because my artist is done with, it should be done. And I'm honestly, depending on how much it funds, I'd love to be working on issue 2
Mhm.
while issue 1 is funding, and then get that out as soon as I can. That's my plan, is to
Sure.
get stuff out.
And with regarding the stories, is this one story, or is this a longer thing, a longer arc?
It is. What do you mean by that?
Well, this is a single issue, right? You said 24 pages.
It's a made of both. It's this single issue. This single issue is the subsequent ones are gonna be 24. This one is 64 pages, 68 pages total, 64 of story. One of the pages will be the winner of the art contest will get in the book, but this is 68 pages that you will be getting.
68 pages. Okay, right.
So all the variant covers are going to be limited to campaigns. You won't be able to get them after the fact. The main cover you will be able to. But yeah, so I wanted to start with a giant size first issue because I find a lot of the time people read a first issue and it may not give them enough. So I wanted to make sure that you get a sizable chunk, and but it'll be good. You'll get your money's worth. You'll get a story with a beginning, middle, and end, but with a hint of more to come.
This is another variant that isn't colored yet, so this is in progress.
Yes,
by
Rini.
Rini, yeah, that's cool. Look at this, man. Wait,
Yeah.
let me zoom in a little bit because this is phenomenal.
15K. As I was coming up with the backdrop for the world and the superheroes that fought in World War III, I was like, this is a story in and of itself. So I would love to do, it would be called Crusader Corps. It would be superheroes in World War III. It would be a prequel to Phenomenova. But we'll get Phenomenova out first before we start diving into prequel territory. This
is really, really cool. I really want to know what's going on here and how it's being solved, and there are things going on here, and you want to read this, you know?
Yeah, that's good. That's the point.
It's the team.
That is at least not even all of them, but that's a big part of the team that fought in World War III, Crusader Corps.
What's your process with character creation?
Oh man, yeah, that's a good one. Especially you've created so many. I'm trying to relax a bit more, but I had like ideas in my head for some of the characters more specific than others. I let my artist kind of do his thing. So it was, I had if you look, the knight in the middle, Golden Gallant, and then the Phoenix Senshi, who's the ninja. Those two I had my main artist for the book come up with, and then I asked, because the rest weren't really prominently featured. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some of the characters, they weren't as prominently featured, or more accurately, I was like, okay, they're all going to have roles in the prequel storyline. Some of them might come back in the present, some might not. Well, who survived the war? We don't know. You'll have to find out when you read. But I was like, they're all important. I want them to have good designs, but I could tell my artist was itching to get started, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't either. So I said, do you want me to have someone else design some of these characters? And he was like, yeah. So I hired a character designer to design 4 of them. We would go back and forth. He sent me something. I like this. I like this. Some of them were easier than others. We'd have conversations. And then when it came to drawing the pages, my artist would then come back. He'd incorporate them in, and that's how we'd go about it.
Okay. All right. Great.
So there's a lot of collaboration.
And this story takes place
20 years after World War III. Yes.
After World War III, right. So you said you like superhero stuff. This was a superhero book, right? So this should like seek this superhero, like this audience for it. But when I see this picture, the designs are very unlike like what you typically see with superheroes, like no spandex type costumes, right? It's more leaning towards fantasy in some cases.
I hadn't thought of that. I guess so. I didn't even really.
Yeah, like a witch character, like a ranger-like figure, and like I don't know. She is more like. I know it has some superhero elements,
right? But other stuff, yeah. Well, World War
different, right?
And I guess you could argue that the World War was kind of them building into the superheroes of today. You know, they kind of over the course of 20 years evolved to be more like what we see. But yeah, that's a good point. I think the one who looks most like a superhero would be the man on the left. But even then, he's got a gun. Which I remember their gun wasn't in the initial artwork, and I asked my artist, can you add that back in? I want it to be like, yeah, he looks like a superhero, but I want him to be showing like he's going to war.
Right.
And so I decided to add a gun.
Really cool.
And
Really cool. All right, we have some sequential art. Looks nice. Colors are really beautiful, man. Really cool.
yeah, Jesse did such a good job. I just messaged him earlier. I was like, oh, I didn't know you work with Dave Brink. He does a fantastic job when he does this stuff. And I'm hoping to bring him back for issue 2. We'll see.
I really like these scenes where you have a particular like color grading, like that fits the specific scene, right? So you get this feeling along with it. Like this here is really cool. So here he like falls in this cave and he discovers this crystal.
Yeah.
All right. That's very so the origin story is very like superhero-esque, right?
Yes.
It's,
I wanted it to be, a lot of people were telling me to do more subversive stuff, and I just thought I want it to be true blue superheroes.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you don't need to be subversive to be subversive. When it happens, that's nice. Well, maybe, but you don't. That doesn't need to be the goal, right? So is this like a bad guy?
Yes. So that is our main villain for issue 1 in the first story arc as a whole. Dark Cloud. So he is going to be our main antagonist here. Not much is known about him, but we know that he has these high-tech suit. He's super tall, super strong and powerful. All sorts of weaponry and gadgets. He is a force to be reckoned with.
Holy shit! Look at all these details here.
Yeah, my artist, my mini print team really killed it.
Holy shit!
So my main artist designed this character, and then this. So this design is slightly different from the design you'll see in the book, which I at first, which I was like, you know what? I'll say this is like another suit in his armory, right? So it's slightly different, but my main artist, he just went all out. He's great at drawing. Or this artist who did the mini print totally killed it. And this piece comes free when you back the book. So it's a mini print.
Oh, there's not a page from within the book.
It's a mini print.
It's a mini print. Okay, cool.
And it comes free when you back it. But it's a FundMyComic exclusive.
All right. What can you tell us about this guy? Does he have like superpowers?
Dark Cloud does.
Or is it specifically gadgets?
No, it's specifically gadgets. So one of the things that, and it kind of became a theme. Initially, it was just an idea, and it became a theme. Is almost like, so this main character gets superpowers, but he's like, that's not enough in this world anymore. It's been 20 years, and superhumans, they're not super commonplace. They're very rare, but everyone knows about them. And now criminals have had to step up their game, because they are now dealing with essentially super police, right? With superheroes. They're not police, but you know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, in this world, humanity had to step up, and war was accelerated because superhumans suddenly with egos came about. And so humanity had to catch up. And now we're in a world where this kid, just because he is a kid with superpowers, that doesn't make him enough to stop even a guy with a high-tech suit, right? And it shows that, his arrogance really would be his downfall, which is why he needs to get humbled very quickly in this world.
So how much of world building did you need to do? Because this takes place in a fictional world. This takes place
quite a bit
in the future. So you have to explain what was the Third World War and what does the world look like afterwards. So you have some. So seems to me there's a lot of things you have to figure out before you can even start writing.
Yeah, and I had to eventually stop myself and just say, I'll figure out what I need to outside of this. But I figured out quite a bit. There's a lot of the global stuff there's some stuff that I don't know, some specifics that I do know, but I said, okay, I've written this many issues. I've had no problem. So when I have a problem, I will address it. I was like, I can't figure out. It came to a point where I was like, what's helping my writing and what's inhibiting my writing? And it was too much obsessive world building is a problem. Because yes, you will hit into issues, but it's also at a certain point. And I was like, when does this stop being fun? So it was a matter of figuring that out. And so a lot of details I have figured out. I figured out enough for me to write the story. And no, more than enough for me to write the story. Than enough for me to write the story. But I also set it in there's that whole area that gets nuked early on that you see, totally destroyed. I decided that's like an area of California that was rebuilt. So the story is set over 100 miles of area, has been destroyed and rebuilt. So that way I basically built a new world within this new world, where essentially it's familiar enough but different. And that way I could stay there, and there will be away missions. There will be stuff in the outside world. So you will explore more of it. But I wanted to focus on this part of this world for Phenomenova, at least for the time being. Sure. And I felt focus was something that was needed. I think people I'm more of a character-driven writer than a world-driven writer.
Sure.
And so that was what I did. I often the characters and the world building, I think in terms of thematics too, like I think it being after World War is just like a world forever changed. And a world where my main character grew up looking up to people that it's kind of like how we still talk about the brave World War II veterans, right? And how will we ever be as brave as them is kind of that mentality where he has. And now he has superpowers in a world where the greatest superheroes ever kind of came before him. And that's not to say there won't be great heroes since, but it's not as straightforward as a conflict as a world war. And I think that it's simpler in some ways and more complicated in others.
Okay, right. I see you have a art contest going on.
Yes. So this art contest is going to go on. Basically, I'm going to let it run until the campaign is almost ready to print, at which point I will decide on the winner. And I've already got some great submissions, man. It's been great. And some works in progress.
Right. So, because there are probably people watching right now who are artists, and perhaps, so what can they win? When they win, reward winner will be printed in the final book and will receive a big copy.
Correct.
Sure.
So yeah, if you want published work in Phenomenova, there are going to be over 300 copies already printed. I imagine we'll sell more. So
it says here it must be submitted by the end of the campaign. Does this mean this FundMyComic campaign or the complete campaign, including the
campaign, including?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Great. Well, we have a lot of perks.
Oh yeah. But when you boil it down, it's really simple. It's just the covers, really, and then there's also a poster. When you boil it down.
When you go down, you have the variant cover. Oh, you can choose. You can pick this one. Then you can you have this pull down menu. You can select the cover you want, right?
Correct.
Main cover, variant cover. All right. Sure. There's a lot of combinations here. People can take their time to browse through it. Guys, the link to this campaign is pinned in chat. It's in the description of this video. Check it out. All right, you have every possible combo. Yeah, that's one thing that I'm missing from FundMyComic. That's add-on section.
Yeah, add-on. That was one thing I wanted to have, and that was one of the things why I wasn't sure if I wanted to do FundMyComic. But I realized that my campaign for now was going to be, once I realized I wasn't going to have hats and stuff like that, it became pretty simple. And I was like, I'll just make it a list of just here's what you get. Make it every combination. So if they choose, that's why. And I also put in the tiers, I'm like, don't get multiple of this. If you want it, I made a tier for that. So I just wanted to make it as streamlined as possible. And once I really learned it, it became pretty easy for me, at least. Customers, I know some people get confused, but I thought I'd make it as simple as possible for newcomers to back my first campaign.
Well, it's looking good, man. You're doing great. You have 1 week left. So guys, keep on promoting this campaign. Share it out with everyone on social media. Talk about this campaign. Let's get this over 20K. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not, man? We can do it. Come on. All right.
Thank you so much. Yeah, 20K sounds good to me. Sounds very good to me.
I've never managed to reach 20K before.
What have you reached? How far have you gone?
The highest is almost 18.
That's good. That's very good.
So next time, you know.
Yeah, we'll get you. We'll get you on my show. Yeah, keep it coming.
Woo. Excellent. 20K says Dr. Ino. Vaughn, thank you so much for being my guest for today.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day, man. This has been great. It's been a blast.
Yeah. Right. And guys, you can also check out Vaughn's campaign, but also check out Perfect 10, the artist edition. It's still going for, I think, 8 days. Let me see. Let me make sure. 8 more days. Present, share the screen. Give me a moment. There we go. So it's on Kickstarter. You can. It's a hardcover. It's 130 pages, guys. This is crazy. We started out when we launched this campaign. It was 84 pages, but we kept adding stuff. We kept adding pages like pinups. We have so much material, plus colored pages now also. So you can read along with the script. You get the layouts that POW did. You get the lettered sequences, the line art, plus the final colored work, and we added previous commission works that POW did, and like pinups. Plus, you can get your own commissions also, right? If you like to have a head sketch, POW is like doing 9 head sketches. You can get one, and he's doing character commissions of any character you want. It can be anything. Can be your own, can be January 1st, can be mainstream, whatever you want, and you can use the art for whatever you like. And he has like a few original sequential pages left of the first book. There are only a few left, so go check that out. Stop the screen. All right, Vaughn, thank you. And special thanks to the chat, to everyone watching right now, because without you there's no point. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this conversation, give it a like. If you didn't like the conversation, give it a dislike, and I'm very sorry. I will be back next week with another Drink with Brink. So same time, same channel, new guest. Hope to see you guys then. Bye bye.
See you.